So there are things that are less active than businesses or less active than, real estate, but they're still going to require something up front to find the right deals. Because it's kind of a strange notion to think that there's all these deals out there in the world and that the best ones are going to come to the people who are passive about it. Like if you're passive about it, the people that treat it like a business that are active about it, they're going to find the better deals. They're going to be, actively searching for this. Money can be complicated. Let a nerd help you. We're here to demystify the complex nature of money by getting you answers from financial nerds and whiz kids. Welcome to Ask the Money Nerds, a weekly segment of the Wealth Labs podcast where we answer your most pressing money questions. There's plenty of information talking about creating passive income. But how do you go about creating passive income? Sometimes assets that create cash flow, well, they're just not that passive. When I did a ton of real estate investing, it felt super active. Deferred maintenance, going through property management firms and replacing them, or dealing with tenants that weren't paying, or you name it. It was a lot more active than I was told. Owning a business can be even more active. So what are the real options out there if you're going to try to create passive income? And you know how I feel about the term passive income. We'll probably get into that here in a second.
Yeah, I think there's this idea around passive income where I just get to, in order to use a word that, or phrase that you use a lot, to set it and forget it. Like I just put my money over here or I invest in it and then it just brings me loads and loads of money while I'm sleeping. Right. And we know that passive income is not passive.
It's
that
money passing you by to go to the person you invest it with. It keeps it.
Yeah. So Sean's question today will address that a little bit more.
I'm going to give a couple new ideas here. Mm-hmm. These aren't necessarily what I invest in. I'm pretty clear about what I do when I talk about these things, but I'll give some other examples since you're going to hear he has a question asking what other opportunities there are.
Yes. So here's what he has to say. Sean says, I'm a well-paid software sales executive with great benefits and a job that I enjoy. I've dialed in my personal budget, started my cash value insurance policy, and am consistently overfunding it every month. My question is about passive income streams. Most of the content out there is about either investing in real estate or starting a business. While I understand the benefits of real estate, I don't want to spend my precious spare time dealing with tenants, toilets, and turnover. I like the triple T there.
That's good, man. I'm all about alliteration.
Oh, yeah. Having owned businesses earlier in my career, it's hard for me to see this as anything remotely resembling passive income.
Very tough, yeah.
What are some investment options that exist for individuals who are happy with their profession and have more money than time? I'm looking for ideas on how to deploy the cash value stockpile I'm accumulating in my policy. Keep up the great content.
All right, so let's begin. I've taken a lot of notes on this, so I'm going to look direct to camera here for a minute. And I think that it's important in a book I wrote to figure out your passive income index, which is anytime that you're investing, ask these few questions. First is it providing immediate and regular cash flow versus just paying off someday or trickling in unpredictably? And you can even rank this. You could say, well, on a scale of 0 to 5, 5 is it's definitely regular. The second question would be, how much of your personal time is required to manage this investment, right? Or how much can you delegate? The more you can delegate, the higher the score. The less that you can, the less passive it is, right? Third, how sustainable is the cash flow? How much longevity does it have? There's some things that might be temporary cash flow, but then it goes away. So the higher the score, the more sustainable it is. Fourth, can you manage the investment from anywhere in the world? Is it something you can do from a phone or a laptop? And then 5, does the cash flow have the ability to increase over time? Look, the best deals a lot of times to find something more passive is actually, ironically, requires more time up front. It's more active up front to create something that's more passive, but to think that it's going to be truly 100% passive is such a rare find. Right. This notion of mailbox money, this notion of, it's just going to work out. Like, sure, do those circumstances exist? Yes, but they're few and far between. I feel like if you don't manage it or monitor it, you're not going to maintain it. How's that for 3 M's right there? Huh?
I love it. Another alliteration, 2 in 1 episode.
So there are things that are less active than businesses or less active than, real estate, but they're still going to require something up front to find the right deals. Because it's kind of a strange notion to think that there's all these deals out there in the world and that the best ones are going to come to the people who are passive about it. Like if you're passive about it, the people that treat it like a business that are active about it, they're going to find the better deals. They're going to be, actively searching for this. And so I think that's kind of the thing we have to consider. So there There are funds in real estate. There's hard money lending funds. There's tax liens. Why don't we just start with tax lien certificates? As of 2017, there was 3,142 counties across the United States that require property taxes to be paid so that they can fund the many public services offered to the community. Property taxes are a major source of revenue for these, counties. So if property owners fail to pay their property taxes, then there's a financial shortfall of revenue for the county, which will have an adverse effect on the community. So when a property owner becomes delinquent on their property taxes, then the city or county in which the property is located can place a lien on the property. This lien is a legal claim against the property for unpaid amount that is owed, right? So a property with a lien attached to it can't be sold or refinanced until the taxes are paid and the lien is removed. This is known as a tax lien. It's a certificate as a first position lien on real estate. In other words, it's the obligation to pay property taxes before any of the other debts are paid. So that tax lien certificate is created by a municipality and reflects the amount that is owed on the property tax plus any interest and penalties due. So these certificates are auctioned off to investors. Tax liens can be purchased for as little as a few $100s, can be as high as hundreds of thousands of dollars. They can be purchased on residential or commercial properties or even undeveloped land. Investors buy them because property owners must pay off the lien with interest in order to remove the lien. That interest goes to the investors who would have purchased the liens, right? So in other words, the tax liens, they come with legally mandated returns. They're amongst the safest and highest yielding investments that you find for small amounts of investment. But there's people that do this full time, and this is their profession. And so a lot of times they're going to get the best deals. So these can pay annualized interest rates that are 12%, 18%, or in some circumstances, 36% per year. But you have to kind of know what you're doing. And thinking of how much interest your savings account is paying you right now, this seems like it might be a viable option, but you have to make sure it's part of investor DNA. It's something you truly understand. So you don't have to settle for kind of the measly returns that are out there in financial institutions, and you can start to look at some of these other opportunities. And you might even end up with a property if you begin a foreclosure process, right? So you can either work on these types of things or just set money aside, because most mutual funds don't pay much cash flow or interest. Even stocks that are dividend paying stocks, it's usually not really high interest rates that are coming in. So here's just one example of something that you might be able to do. So the next thing I want to talk about is like maybe building or buying storage units. Now, look, I don't invest in tax liens or storage units. I did other real estate. It didn't really interest me. I'm a business guy and intellectual property guy, as you know.
Yes.
So a storage unit, well, this could be a way to leverage real estate to generate cash flow. You receive cash flow from rent, and if the tenants don't pay, you get to auction off their stuff and evict them, and hell, maybe even have a TV series, right? There's TV series on this, isn't there?
Yeah, where there's a bunch of people, they're auctioning off a unit. They don't know what's inside until they open the door, and then you never know if they're left with a doozy or something like really valuable, like a storage, closet full of antiques or something like that.
Not my game, but
yeah,
that's cool.
I don't want to deal with everybody else's stuff.
I need to get rid of stuff, not get more
Right.
stuff at this point. Now, these could require kind of a lot of money up front, but the cash flow for this could be great. And they can do fine in a recession, because a lot of times people end up, leaving their homes or having to downsize, and, they require storage units to kind of take care of their stuff. So if you are considering investing in storage units, just look at these kind of things like geography. Make sure you're not building or buying an area where there's an oversupply of these kind of options, and locations. Are there competitors nearby, or does it have good visibility? And management with storage units, you're not just buying a piece of real estate, you're buying a business that actually has to be managed properly. Which, can you delegate that or have someone do that? So one of the things he's worried about is like, hey, I've owned a business before, that takes a lot of time, and he has a good job. So it's can you hire the right staff, as in anything. And then maintenance, if you're buying existing ones, have you done the proper inspections to make sure that everything's good? So look, I just providing a couple ideas here. I know that there's real estate investment trusts. I'm highly skeptical of most of those. There's too much going on that way. Like, I like having individual things that I'm dealing with one thing that I can get rid of, or I have a little bit of control over, versus something that's spread thin amongst some, major organization that has a bunch of different properties and stuff like that I don't know about the management, like I said before. So here's just a couple ideas and giving a little bit more context to what passive income is.
Yeah.
Anything else you got, Stolber?
Well, no, I think those were two different examples that we don't normally talk about for him to consider. And so,
All right.
tax liens sound a little bit complicated, but maybe it's someone's jam. You just never know.
Not my jam, but we have clients that have done really, really well with it. Want to continue the path to be a better investor? Make sure that you're not losing money and taking too much risk? Well, click here and learn about strengths vesting.